Welcome to Renew Her, a podcast for women over 50 ready to reignite their energy and explore what's next. I'm Janelle Lemley, brain fitness coach. Here, you'll hear real stories from women taking on new challenges after 50, along with brain health tips to boost focus, energy, and the mindset to move forward with confidence. Let's dive into today's episode. Welcome back to Renew Her. Today's episode is part of a shorter series I call Brain Notes, quick reflections on the everyday habits and experiences that shape our brain health. Today, we're talking about something most of us do without even thinking, picking up our phones for just a second, and how that simple moment can quietly shape our focus, our mood, and our mental clarity throughout the day. Have you ever picked up your phone to check one thing and suddenly found yourself scrolling for 20 minutes or more? You open one app to respond to a message, and before you know it, you've checked email, LinkedIn, news headlines, watched a few random videos, and somehow ended up mentally exhausted afterward. I've caught myself doing this too. I'll pick up my phone with a clear purpose, and a few minutes later, I realize my brain feels noisy, scattered. And sometimes I become so distracted that I completely forget why I picked up my phone in the first place. I'll suddenly realize, oh yeah, I meant to send a message. Or I'll start responding to someone and later realize I never actually hit send because my attention got pulled somewhere else. And the interesting thing is, we often don't immediately connect that feeling to the constant digital stimulation we're consuming all day long. Social media absolutely has benefits. We learn from it, we connect through it. Many people build businesses, communities, and meaningful relationships through it. But I also think we need to have a conversation about what constant digital input may be doing to our brains, especially for high-achieving women who are already carrying enormous cognitive loads every single day. Many women are already leading teams, managing households, making decisions, solving problems, caregiving, supporting everyone else, and mentally tracking 1,000 things at once. The brain is already processing so much before social media even enters the picture. Then we layer nonstop digital stimulation on top of that, and many brains rarely get true recovery time anymore. Our brains weren't designed to absorb endless information all day long. And social media is specifically designed to capture and keep our attention. Our brains are naturally wired to pay attention to novelty, new information, new experiences, new stimuli. And social media taps directly into that system by constantly feeding the brain something new. A new post, a new headline, a new opinion, a new notification, a new video, a new image, a new ad. Every swipe gives the brain another hit of stimulation. And every time something novel appears, the brain releases dopamine, a neurotransmitter connected to reward and motivation. That's one reason scrolling can feel so hard to stop. Your brain keeps anticipating, what's next? What else is there? What am I missing? And while none of this necessarily seems harmful in the moment, over time, constant rapid stimulation can begin training the brain to expect continuous input. It can become harder to sit in silence, harder to focus deeply, harder to stay present, harder to think clearly without reaching for stimulation. And I think this is something many women are quietly experiencing without fully realizing it. We say things like, why can't I focus like I used to? Why do I feel mentally exhausted all the time? Why is it so hard to concentrate? Why does my brain feel so scattered? And sometimes the answer isn't that your brain is failing. Sometimes your brain is overloaded. Because social media doesn't just affect attention. It can also affect the nervous system emotionally. Even when we think we're casually checking our phones, our brains are processing an enormous amount of emotional information. Comparison, urgency, fear, outrage, bad news, pressure, negativity, and the subtle feeling that we should somehow be doing more, achieving more, or being more. Your nervous system absorbs all of that. I've experienced this myself at times. There have been moments where I'm scrolling through social media or reading news articles, and I can literally feel my body changing. My muscles tense, my mood shifts, I feel agitated, frustrated, sometimes even angry. And in those moments, I catch myself and realize I need to put my phone down. Because even though it feels like we're simply consuming information, our brains and nervous systems are still responding physiologically to what we're seeing. Your nervous system was never designed to absorb hundreds of emotional inputs before breakfast. Now, as I said before, I want to be clear. I'm not saying social media is all bad. Like most things, it's about awareness and intentionality. Social media can educate us, inspire us, connect us, introduce us to incredible people and ideas. But I do think we need to become more intentional about how much of our attention we give it. Because attention is one of the most valuable resources your brain has. What you consistently give your attention to shapes your thoughts, your stress levels, your emotions, your focus, and ultimately, your experience of life. And protecting your attention may be one of the healthiest things you can do for your brain. You might notice a significant difference simply by waiting a little while before checking social media in the morning, turning off unnecessary notifications, taking intentional breaks from scrolling, or creating more quiet space throughout your day. Because mental clarity doesn't always come from doing more. Sometimes it comes from reducing the noise. Sometimes it comes from giving your brain room to breathe again. And in a world constantly competing for your attention, learning to protect your focus may be one of the most powerful forms of brain health care there is. Not because you're trying to do less, but because you're choosing to think more clearly, feel more steady, and be more present in your own life. Thanks for joining me today. Until next time. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Renew Her. If today's conversation sparked something in you, don't let it fade. Take even a small step toward what's next. If you found value in what you heard, please subscribe, leave a review, or share this podcast with a woman who's ready to take her next bold step. Together, we're building a community of strong, resilient women, navigating what's next with courage and purpose. Until next time, stay energized and keep embracing what's possible.